Hi there, this is Flavia and thank you for watching. Today we are going to create some pop-up houses that are meant to be kept on display but can easily be flattened for mailing. These houses are perfect for friends and family members who just moved into a new home. I actually needed just one note card for a friend of mine. However, I ended up making 3 houses since they are so much fun to make and just adorable in any color. The star of today's video is this die set by Spellbinders. It was released exactly a year ago. This set is the pop-up 3D vignette Home Sweet Home, and it was the amazing Paper Grace July 2021 die of the month. When I first got this set, I felt a little bit unsure on how to put these pieces together, but once you make one house, you will quickly realize how easy it actually is, especially because we have these instructions in the back of the packaging, and Spellbinders always makes wonderful tutorial videos on YouTube that we can follow along. As of today, July 2022, Spellbinders still have this set available if you're interested. To not waste any time off camera, I die cut all of the pieces needed to make this first house using my Gemini Junior die cut machine. The instructions in the back of this package also indicate how many of each part we need, so it was pretty easy to die cut the exact amount of pieces needed before assembling this house. Some of this metal will also leave stitching patterns on the die cut pieces indicating where we should fold them, and using a Teflon bond folder, I will reinforce the fold on all of these pieces and start assembling the base for this house. These long pieces that I am folding in half are the crossbars for this house. We will need 3 of these crossbars folded in half, and we will also need to pull apart 2 crossbars at the perforated line to create 3 single crossbars needed for this house as well. We will have to place these crossbars in the top and bottom slits of the side pieces, just as I am doing here. I am placing the crossbars that I folded in half at the bottom, so they will work as a pocket for the message inserts that we are going to add later. And on the top slits, I will insert the single crossbars, which will work as a divider, I guess. Once we are done assembling the base for this house, we should test it out by folding it to the right and then to the left before adhering the other pieces to this base. Before we move on to the next step, let me show you these 2 metal plates included in this set. These 2 plates will not cut out the cardstock at all. They will only add embossed brick details to the cardstock, which will make all the difference. And that is how I was able to add brick details to these 2 rectangular panels that I am adding to the base. I will add one wall to the front and the other one to the back. I also die cut 2 front house panels so I can have it on both sides. For the gable pieces, I will stack 2 white die cuts so it stands out more, and I will also have one at the front and one in the back of this house. For the roof pieces, I am adding a white die cut piece in the back because this gray cardstock that I chose is very lightweight, so if you're already using a heavyweight cardstock, you should definitely skip this. To adhere the roof to this wall, I will add liquid adhesive above this score line. I am using the Barely Arts glue, which I love. However, it would definitely be faster if you use strong double-sided adhesive tape instead of glue. When using glue, we sometimes have to hold some of these pieces in place until the glue has completely dried. And we don't have to do that when using adhesive tape. So the next time I make more of these houses, I would definitely do that, at least for the largest pieces, so I don't have to keep on holding them in place. And now that the pop-up house is ready, we can go ahead and have fun decorating it by adding the doors, windows, flowers, chimney, and whatever embellishments we might have. The options are endless, and we can make this house any way we like. In this triangle tray, I have lots of those decorative pieces that can go above or below the windows. These pieces add a lot of interest to these houses, and to make it even better, I cut them out of silver cardstock so it is very shiny in person. Also remember that we can add other die cut elements to these houses by using different sets that you might have. Later you will see me adding some flower pots from a different die set. I also thought about adding a tiny cat. I thought it would be cute, but in the end I decided not to because the person who will receive this house might not have a cat. You can also add different die-cut plants, balloons, a Christmas tree if you're making this for Christmas, and so on. We can really get creative with this set and make note cards for many other occasions. To cut out this sentiment, for example, I used another Spellbinders die set that I already had. Since this die-cut sentiment is too long to fit in the back of this house, I will cut out the word home so I can position this sentiment in a way that perfectly fits this wall. I also decided to add a flower on the top of the front door, and later I will add another one on the back as well. For the windows, I will do the die cut inlay technique by adding all of these tiny pieces back that I die cut again out of gray cardstock. They will work as the glass for the windows, and I will show you how to make them glossy in a minute. But before that, I will decorate this house some more by adding silver flat back beads here and there. I will use a large one as a doorknob and add smaller sized beads below the windows. So to make these gray blocks at the windows resemble glass, I will apply a generous amount of Ranger Glossy accents on top of them, and once it has dried, it will look very glossy. Because I had already assembled this house, I had to add Ranger Glossy accents to the windows on one side, then wait for the glossy accents to completely dry, which took me a long time since I applied a very generous amount, and just then I was able to repeat the process on the other side. This was the first house that I made, and I didn't really know exactly what I was going to do. That is why I am kind of all over the place. So after this house, what I decided to do, and what I really recommend, is to decorate the individual parts of this house before adhering the pieces together. This way we can have the front and back of the house laying flat on our table, and we can decorate them both at once. Here are the 3 messages inserts that will go inside the folded crossbars that I placed in the center of this house. I cut it out of heavyweight white cardstock, and I will add these gray tabs to each one of them. It is recommended to trim the sides a little bit so it measures 4 inches, and so it is easy to slide it in and out of the crossbars. One thing that I forgot to mention as I was applying Ranger Glossy accents is that even though I only want the gray cardstock pieces to be glossy, it would have been too much work trying to not go over the white window frames. So instead, I decided to just apply as much of the Ranger Glossy accents as I needed to cover every gray section without worrying too much about not going over the white frames. And now that it has completely dried, I will go ahead and add another layer of the die-cut windows and door frames to make them neat again. And by adding another layer of die-cut door and windows, we'll make them stand out some more, which I think makes it look nicer. And as a final touch, I will add these 2 flower pots to the front of this house that I die-cut using a different die set that I already had. The next house is going to be a white and yellow one. I will not show you the process for putting the pieces together because it is exactly the same. However, to add some interest to these walls, I used this brick wall embossing folder by Altenew. And to show you that I did learn my lesson, this time I am decorating the front and back of the house at once before assembling the pieces. For this one, I cut the sentiment out of silver cardstock, and I will again make the glass of these windows glossy by applying Ranger Glossy accents. I like to apply a very generous amount so it gives the impression that it is glass and it is extra glossy in person. Again, it is totally fine if we get Ranger Glossy accents on these frames because we will add another layer of die-cut windows and door. I will not add flower pots to the front of this yellow house because I changed the placement of the silver pieces and I just love it as it is. Another thing that I did differently is that I decided not to add the single crossbars since I felt it was getting in the way. Here is a closer look on the side of this house, so you can see that this one only has the folded crossbars. I feel that having only the folded crossbars is enough, and it makes it easier for the recipient to take the inserts out and put them back on. So let me show you now the finished pop-up houses and the matching envelopes. Notice that the envelope on the right is a little bit bulky. That is because I used that embossing folder to create the brick walls for the house that is inside this envelope, which ended up adding more texture and volume to this pop-up house, making it harder to be flattened. I actually ended up creating 2 pop-up houses with the embossed brick walls, and even though they are a little bit bulky, I still love them. If I were to mail them, I would actually place it inside a padded envelope instead of a regular paper one. However, one of these houses is actually for another friend, and since we work together, I think that I would just surprise her and simply place this pop-up house on her desk without any envelope. So this is all that I have for you today, and I hope you enjoyed this video. It brought me so much joy creating these adorable houses, and I hope it inspired you to get creative and put your old die sets to good use, just as I did today. Also, make sure to head over my blog for pictures, more information, and a complete supply list of all products used today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and remember to subscribe to my channel so you do not miss the next one. Take care and have a wonderful day.